The COVID 19 impact has been seen everywhere. In India, around 250 million students have been affected due to school closures at the onset of lockdown induced by COVID 19. The pandemic posed several challenges in public and private schools, which included an expected rise in dropouts, learning losses, and increase in digital divide. But since its outbreak 2 years ago, the COVID 19 pandemic has disrupted education systems globally, affecting the most vulnerable learners the hardest. Due to COVID 19, many changes came into our world, and it has taken many a long time to adapt to the new normal. The cumulative effects of the pandemic could have a long term impact on an entire generation of students. Ms. Pallavi Mishra has been contributing actively to the international education in various roles and has been serving as a principal for the last 7 years. She is an IB evaluation leader and has successfully spearheaded the authorization process for all the three IB programs, establishing the first IB Continuum School in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Prior to Oak Ridge, she has been associated with four other top IB schools in India. She has a master's degree in English from the prestigious Miranda House at Delhi University. Ms. Mishra is UGC NET qualified, a certified teacher mentor by UK, Keele University, and holds a diploma in English World Literature course from Austin, Texas, USA, and business leadership program from the prestigious Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. She has been celebrated as a top 50 principals and educators by Education World CEO Insights magazine and Euclids. Welcome to Threading Thoughts. I am so thrilled to have Ms. Pallavi Mishra with us today, and it's an honor to have you. We are so glad that, things seem to be coming to normal, but not exactly. So we are very thrilled at Threading Thoughts to have you, and thank you so much for taking time off.
Thank you, Mridula. The pleasure is mine. I can't wait to get started with you.
I can assure you the pleasure is completely ours. But something that we really want to sort of understand a little more, given that you've struggled through these very, very difficult times. So the very core of, interactive learning has been challenged, right, in these pandemic times. So what are some key initiatives, generally schools, or perhaps you particularly also, schools and educators have encouraged, to face these challenges of online teaching, right? It could be structural, it could be even day-to-day management from both sides, right? From the student and as well as administrative.
Let me begin by saying that the most important core element of teaching, which is personalized attention, whether it is in offline teaching or in online, that cannot get compromised.
Right.
So that's been our focal point in designing the entire teaching and learning and in how we approach it, even in the online hybrid model. So keeping that at the center of our education strategy, we built around it. So then next, for personalized teaching, we've used tech, which enables teachers to manage and navigate these very turbulent times. And we've had, we've not just had hybrid learning, we've actually have had transitions back and forth.
Right.
So we've been in, this full virtual, then suddenly, partially virtual and partially in school, and then suddenly in school and back. I think what it has done, and I really think that the brighter side of this entire process has strengthened the education system and has overhauled it for the better, because one, we've realized that we have to, because change is something people resist. This change would have been so painful and slow over the years if it hadn't happened like this. So now you see even very traditional schools talking about making teaching and learning far more progressive than it was ever before. So coming back to your question of what are the specific steps we took, one is, like I said, we decided that we will not compromise on personalized attention and teaching, because even if it's offline, getting the children to be, convincing them to keep the cameras on, communicating with them, having phone calls, doing well-being check-ins. That's something we did very, very consciously, where, we had like picnic lunches. These are all student initiatives. Or we also made sure that there are certain times, 15-minute break between classes, where we are just talking to each other. How are you? Is everything okay? If somebody is having COVID, okay, it'll get better. So we made sure that teaching was not simply delivering the curriculum, right, but also taking the understanding the environment and making a very positive environment, even in online teaching. That's one. Two, we recognize that parents are very burdened because parents are having to manage their jobs, their homes, and the children. So we started a series of positive parenting workshops. And that
Lovely.
was something that really helped parents. We actually, we had our psychologists, our counselors talk to the parents and ask, what is it that you want to know? How do you manage children? Or what is good screen time? What is bad screen time? So much information which exists, which is incorrect, and which can be very, can drive anxiety levels, because parents think, oh, if I say no, will the child do something extreme? There's a lot of
Exactly.
fear psychosis. And there is also a lot of, this thing that does this mean good parenting means you just give everything to your child? So, being able to empower parents was also our important, step that we took, very conscious step we took. And that really helped in making this partnership between school and parents everlasting, because I
Right.
think what we went through together has brought us so close, and they understand our challenges, we understand their challenges, and we realize that if we want the child to progress, it has to be only by partnership. So that's the second thing. And third thing, which is also extremely critical, whether offline or online teaching, is professional development of teachers. So we made sure that our teachers feel very, very equipped to deal with these circumstances. So creating, a platform for them to be able to express their emotional needs as well, because they're also going through. Then also giving them extra professional development, investing in their professional development at a
Correct.
time when most schools were putting all these things to halt. We said, no, this is where we need to put our budget. We have to make sure that teachers have tech training, not once, every month we must have tech training, every month we must have subject enhancement training. So all of these actually left us much more powerful than we were before pandemic. And as a school, we have really evolved, and that's why we are among the top schools in India. We are ranked among the top schools because we also had the patronage of, not patronage, I would say we are part of Nord Anglia. So Nord Anglia, the kind of perspective we get by being part of an international organization also helped us in managing the situation, because we had a lot of people who are experts in different fields guiding us. So we had a lot of backing in that sense, and we've emerged stronger, and really we can take on more challenges. Even if the future, we've accepted the future is uncertain, and we are ready to face it and ride the wave. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's lovely, right? Because a lot of us, me included, felt overwhelmed the first time this happened, right? I mean, there's just too many changes to handle, different ways of dealing with people as well. I mean, relationships changed, right? So even day-to-day management at the school would have drastically changed, given that you're not allowed to come in, or, you stay at home. I mean, that would have been a big change as well, right? From the management point of view.
Yeah. Yeah. While I look like I have it all together, and I had, it wasn't that easy. It's just that when in retrospect you look back, you feel like, yes, you want to pat yourself on the back. And also it's because of so much collaboration between different stakeholders. That is very important. But overwhelming, yes. And as a principal, I'm doing the twin roles of principal and director. So, you realize that you have to have unfailing optimism, because even if things are going wrong, you have to keep on diverting people's attention to what can possibly go right. You have to keep on infusing hope. It is overwhelming. It was there are many children who lost their family members,
True.
teachers who lost people in the family. I had myself difficulties in my own family. So it's not to say that there weren't challenges, or, oh, everything was hunky-dory. No, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. It's still, some people are still emerging from it. But having said that, I think there was a lot of clarity at all times. There was a lot of stableness, a steadiness, because of having a long-term vision about things, also having a certain backing and training, and also knowing that these relationships are bringing us closer together. So yes, emotionally very draining at times, especially in the second wave, I think. Very
Yes.
draining. We also had people who, even in now, for example, when we are coming back, we are getting sudden resignation also, because people who have moved to their places, they're okay doing virtual teaching, but they don't want to come back to where the city they left, because there's nobody, no family there. So what I want to say is that I don't think challenges are ever going to go. Even if we go back fully to school, when was running a school not challenging?
Absolutely.
In which day and age? I don't think so. So
Yeah.
that's fine. We learn, we face, we cope, we get better and stronger. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's very well said. Challenges just come in different forms. I don't think it ever, it just morphs into something else. But I'm very interested in to know a little more from your perspective. Uh, can you tell any one process change that happened in the school because of the pandemic that you think has made any process more efficient as a management perspective? And there's another perspective I'd like to hear, but you've already touched upon it. But this is the first one. Like perhaps technology has improved a particular process in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, we've made some, very conscious changes in the HR processes.
Mhm.
Bringing about empathy and understanding different circumstances, being patient, being flexible in our approach to our employees. And so and then another process change we made is we made a decision that we will not cut salaries at a time when most people were, feeling that threat that whether we'll have our next month's salary. We assured all our employees no matter what. So the senior leadership, we voluntarily took a pay cut for 3 to 6 months, but we made sure that neither our drivers nor our housekeeping nor our teachers at any time. This established a very strong culture and a sense of belonging for our employees. So this was a very conscious HR process change. And the second thing was, of course, in the use of technology. We realized that up until the pandemic, people were using technology based on their preferences. Okay, so they were using it to some extent, not using it. But we had to bring a certain parity, because now technology was a medium to deliver the curriculum.
True.
So making sure that we take all levels of experience. So the more experienced a teacher is, the less they might become open to change, because they have their ways of doing things and they've been achieving results through that.
Sure.
So they don't see why we should change. So, for example, I brought in town hall meetings, weekly town hall meetings, where I would meet online the entire admin and academic teams, and we would talk about what are the changes, how we can bring it about, show examples, share experiences. So that was a certain process change which took a lot of time and energy and reinforcement, but it really helped in delivering results for the organizations, even in the academic results that we achieved.
That's lovely. And you touched upon this before, but I'm going to come back to it. So apart from academics, education programs, student assessment, the paramount need has emerged is you preserve student motivation, engagement, and interest. And it's not only just during school hours, it's also after, because it's a continuous engagement that you're trying to do, right? Towards this, how is the teaching fraternity upskilled itself? In this particular concept, it could be pedagogical changes. Maybe you've rethought the curriculum, or you rethought the way technology can reach the children. So that's something about it.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that question. So we are an IB Continuum school. So we are part of a board which is extremely progressive and one of the most revered boards in the world right now. So we got a lot of help from them in terms, they created a platform where a lot of resources were provided to teachers, and a lot of resource sharing happened, so that people are not reinventing the wheel or doing things from the scratch, because there are things which are happening across the world which can be utilized. So it made the flavor of the teaching very international in that sense. And it also enabled teachers because it reduced their work. It definitely, one is being part of the board, and the other in terms of, we understood that you cannot replicate offline teaching in online. For example, selecting what can be taught, what needs to be, for the time being parked aside. rethinking the examination, communicating with the examination board constantly to see how things are moving, being, reminding children that internal assessments at this time are critical, and teaching academic honesty, and enhancing that policy, and making all stakeholders aware of it, bringing in tools to implement academic honesty, because that's one thing to teach the philosophy, another thing to ensure that it doesn't
Actually,
happen.
yes, in
So
practicum.
we have Turnitin, where we all submissions first uploaded there to check any plagiarism, then counseling children who unknowingly plagiarize. They don't even know that they're plagiarizing.
True.
Sometimes they know, but educating everyone about it, even teachers when they make their own presentations. So everything. So there's so many areas that had to be, scrutinized, and a different approach had to be developed to ensure that teaching and learning, academic excellence is ensured. And few things we did which were quite, we had never imagined we'd be able to do. Like we actually held a virtual sports day last year.
No.
So our parents were so happy because we gave fitness goals, and we asked children to record themselves doing exercises. We had, so who would have ever imagined a virtual sports day is possible? We decided we will not compromise on any calendared events, be it cultural, be it sports, be it literary festival, code festival, everything we did in the calendar. And we did our online teaching. So that's
That's a
the
lot.
kind of commitment our teachers showed. Our teachers are excellent.
No, absolutely. I mean, so my daughter had her PE classes online, which is quite interesting to see. Just so glad that she actually was active, be it, squats or running around. I didn't care what it was, right? It's not a game, but the fact that, physical health has also been given equal importance. I think that this time by the teachers as well, I think it's very, very important, because we tend to forget that we're sitting in front of a computer for hours on end. And for young children or even older children, it's exhausting, not only from the teacher's perspective, but just the student's perspective, to introduce these kind of sports and say, hey, you know what, space is no restriction. It's a beautiful message to get across to these guys that, you keep going and doing what you're doing. And artists, I understand, because most artists, we have very restricted spaces. So, last year during COVID, I introduced a series of limited spaces, but limitless hope, right? And it was awesome because each of these artists brought in something with a very small space. I mean, they've lost spaces to dance or, practice their, whatever they're doing. And, some of them were in their kitchen, some of them between two sofas. And it was fascinating to see they didn't give up what they wanted to do. They just changed and they adapted, right? That's what really hits you, that we are so resilient.
Oh yeah, you nailed it with that. Actually, that's true. People did not stop; they just adapted, and that's what I think we all have done. We've understood that you have to. I think resilient levels have gone up. They've skyrocketed for everyone.
I mean, it's like bring it on right now. It's like let's see what you can throw. But so this sort of comes to where I want to go next, right? We've talked about physical health, and you mentioned briefly about the emotional well-being for students as well. And I think that is really, really important given the very trying times that they've gone through. And we've lost, unfortunately, quite a few students as well. So from just to, assessing technology, to balancing domestic issues, teachers have been very physically and mentally stressed. It's not because the world has changed the way they teach for a lot of them. So what can schools do, in your opinion, some specific initiatives or steps that you might have taken in schools to support teachers, not only a socio but emotional well-being in these very trying times, right? It could even be perhaps different trainings that you offered, or upskilling, or even psychological counseling, or other measures that you think need to be done or were done, but there are other ideas that you can also suggest.
Absolutely, yeah. So Mridula, one very important thing which I live by and which I always share with my parents, teachers and students is the importance of inward focus. because the more inward looking we are, the easier it becomes to manage the outside. Unfortunately, our upbringing, social conditioning, our schooling when we attended school was such that it's all about the outside. We are taught manners in school, how to do things outside, but we are not taught how to think, how to be able to manage our thoughts, how to create positive thoughts, how to understand others, how to be compassionate. It's all like people will do social causes outside, but it's more for a resume building. It's very superficial at times, and when you talk to them you realize this. So the most important thing is self-care before we do anything outside, because you
Absolutely.
can't serve from an empty vessel. First thing you have to do is be full inside, and for that I absolutely recommend, I think it should not be a choice, it should be something which is compulsory in everybody's lifestyle, which is meditation. We must start our day in the morning with a little meditation. It's just that many people don't know how to meditate, and they think that, oh, it's about stopping your thoughts or it's about concentration. It's, they try these little gimmicks that are available on the internet, which are not always authentic, and they give up too soon, or they look for very instant results. Whereas these things, calming your mind down, which is racing constantly. Let me ask you a question. If you were running, Mridula, from morning to evening, what will happen?
And complete burnout, exhaustion,
Burnout.
absolute burnout.
That's exactly what's happening to the mind. We are just racing from one thing to the other, one thing, our minds are just racing. So our ability to make decisions, our ability to cope with disappointments, our ability to actually, be a little tolerant, it's just fading away, because it's
Absolutely.
little things lead to major decisions. Suicide in children has risen so badly,
Exactly.
and parents also lose their temper. Losing temper seems justified. When I talk to parents or students, they say, but anger is the way to get things done, and actually it isn't. So I was talking to my teachers. I'm going to put boards around my school which says anger free zone. Nobody can get angry. The moment you get angry, you cross the line to the side of madness, and now your decision
Absolutely.
making has gone, your logic, your reasoning, everything has gone. So the first thing for emotional well-being is that you need to take care of yourself. You have to meditate. You have to learn a lifestyle where there is a gap between action and response, not action and reaction all the time.
Right.
And that can only happen with a certain level of commitment, that every day, just like we clean our bodies every day, we have to clean our minds every day. And that's what meditation does. It helps you to cut this constant imposition of the outside into the inside. Your inside becomes, when it flowers, it flourishes. The outside, I'm sure you've seen it. When your
Absolutely.
mood is good, the world is good. When your mood is
Absolutely.
bad,
Everything seems to be going against me when my mood is bad. And
yeah,
and see,
yeah,
I think also anger is unfortunately a way of expressing an internal turmoil. So just the fact that you may not be able to deal with certain issues, or you're upset with certain issues, instead of releasing it in a very positive way, we bottle it up, and at some point it bursts open as rage. And the reaction is never positive from the opposite side, because it hurts, or you get another form of rage from another child. So I completely agree. And for teachers, especially with suddenly technology being ramped up, the children not being in front of them, right? I mean, there's no smile in class, there's no chatter in class. It's just you sitting in front of a screen. And for most teachers, they're also balancing family who's also at home, which is even crazier, because the housework, or kids sitting in other rooms. In my house, we all have a corner, and we all stick to our corner, because that's the only way we survive. We all are having our screens on, and the teachers want the videos on. Those must have been really challenging for the teachers, right? I mean, it was a huge upward curve that they had to learn, and that would have
yeah,
affected them quite a bit.
yeah, quite right. So my slogan for all teachers was, affection is more important than perfection. You have to constantly allow things not to happen as per your expectation exactly. You have to let it go. Sometimes if you are not feeling up to it, please inform your RM. Just don't take class that day. Don't answer calls after a certain time. Like Quite to the contrary, I tell my teachers and my staff in school that if you're not able to finish your time on time, or your work on time, and you're staying back after school hours, that is an indication of inefficiency. Finish work and don't go on carrying it in your head all the time. So that's what I have, even when we were doing this, when I would meet teachers online or whatever, we also created a lot of virtual, good social, where like we had a virtual staff room, we had virtual social meetings where we allow teachers to express their challenges and how we can support them. So there was a lot of flexibility in terms of understanding their situation. Also, like I said, this, we took a lot of suggestions from teachers and parents. Like I brought about a change in the timetable. So we had Wellness Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, very intense. Wednesday, half day. After that, people are socializing, meeting, gardening. They were teaching baking, learning baking, and there are lots of funny photos and everything. So that, and then again we go back to catching up on Thursday, Friday. Saturday, nobody can disturb anyone. Nobody is reaching out unless there is some virtual meeting for PTM or something like that, and that also for designated hours. So teachers had the freedom of choice, that
Right.
yes, they don't have to feel like, unlike what I used to hear, these horror stories that they are having to cater to parents and their school staff after school hours into the night and all that. I always discourage that. And so we have a certain culture where people, it's very important that they are, what I keep saying is, you cannot be happy after doing something. While doing something, be happy, and what you will do is very good. So that is the way we function. And yes, there were teachers who had to go through very critical times. Like we made a lot of exceptions. Even when we were open, a teacher was in another place and she cannot travel. So we said, okay, fine. And we made the parents understand that no, she cannot travel and she has to take virtual classes for the time being. So yes, teacher well-being, because happy teachers means happy students. So
Absolutely.
if teacher is in a bad mood, how will she ever teach well? So you have to keep that in mind and create your processes around it. And there is a lot of work we did around that. So having looking after their emotional needs, letting them express their challenges to us, being the link between teachers and parents and minimizing the friction. Sometimes the relationship is very good, there is nothing to be done. Sometimes parents just start picking, especially when they were seeing online, this teacher's accent is not good, this teacher is not doing this right, this teacher does not ask my child a question. That level of interference is also there. But then we had to talk to teacher and make her understand that for the parent, he or she is feeling, is my child not getting enough attention, and that's how you are feeling. Let's see how we can bring these things together. Let's be solution oriented. So yeah, you have to constantly, so communication, I think, is the 21st century skill that all school leaders
Absolutely.
have enhanced during this time, because you have to keep on, you cannot over communicate at such a time. You have to keep on communicating people, keep bringing people together, and that's the way to go forward.
No, that's absolutely lovely. I mean, you're so spot on, because I think the biggest skill that we have learned is, when we take certain things for granted because we see people in person and, this is fine. But this pandemic, especially for schools, has brought in parents into the classrooms. And that is a huge change, both for the teachers as well as the students themselves. And forget, parents walking in the background. I'm not talking about that at all. But it's just the fact that they are right there when the classes are happening. So they see, their perspectives are very different from what a teacher might see, right? And those kind of challenges are not something that we expected at all on online, and has helped us learn quite a bit. But I'm just glad that, people have recognized mental health as equal. And I think we've sort of come back to, managing whatever issues we have had or challenges we have had. But the fact that we're able to bring back as much as possible to, normalcy, I think that is a huge shout out to teachers and, all academicians for that matter. And I'm just so glad. It's been so wonderful talking to you. I'm sure we can
But you
The
have to get
sentiment is mutual, Mridula.
that is so sweet of you. And it's really been lovely because you've been open and upfront on a lot of things, and I don't hold back on my questions as well. So I'll keep prodding till I get what I really want to get from you. But it's been such a joy talking to you, and I'm really glad that you've thought about so many different angles. It's very easy to get overwhelmed. And to just say this is what we can do and restrict ourselves, but to keep broadening what is possible takes a lot of courage, I think. Not just innovation, but a lot of courage, because you're trying something new and it can fail. And you are
I've been guided by very good people also. I've had a lot of support from my seniors, my managing director, also teachers. They have given such fantastic ideas. Parents have given such good ideas. There have been such good student initiatives. I think all you have to do as a school leader is to create an environment for good ideas to flourish. You don't have to do much.
no, but that is
And
a
then all
lot
you
of
have to,
work,
oh,
Pallavi.
that's a great idea. That's a great idea. I just took ideas.
No, but you have to create an environment, right? To get, not everybody can. So that is a huge skill set. And I think
Thank
as a
you,
leader,
Mridula.
you need that skill set to develop people and allow them that space. So that, they feel comfortable coming to you with ideas. I can have 1,000 ideas, but I might say, I don't really know she's open to all of them. And, what if she shoots my idea down? There's always this trepidation before we come and talk to people, right? With new ideas. So we created that environment. So I'm so glad. Thank you so much, Pallavi. That's just so sweet of you to come. And
Thank you, Mridula. Have a superb day. Thank
you
you.
too. Thank you.